Sam Perkins never dominated NBA headlines, but ask anyone who played with him or against him during his 17-year NBA career, and they'll tell you Big Smooth was exactly that: smooth, reliable, and ahead of his time. Born on June 14, 1961 in Brooklyn, Perkins made his mark at the University of North Carolina, playing alongside future NBA legends Michael Jordan under legendary coach Dean Smith. Perkins helped the Tar Heels win the 1982 NCAA championship. Those North Carolina teams were something special. Jordan often gets the spotlight from those days, but Perkins was an absolute cornerstone of that squad. The Dallas Mavericks selected Perkins 4th overall in the 1984 NBA draft, the same draft that produced legends like Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Charles Barkley. While those names might ring more bells today, Perkins carved out his own impressive path. What made Perkins special wasn't flashy dunks or headline-grabbing antics. It was his adaptability. He began his career as a traditional power forward, but evolved with the game. By the mid-1990s, he had transformed into one of the league's first true stretch big men, comfortably knocking down three-pointers well before that became a standard skill for players his size. His career took him from Dallas to the Lakers, then Seattle and Indiana. With the Supersonics, he formed a formidable front court alongside Shawn Kemp, helping Seattle reach the 1996 NBA Finals against, ironically enough, Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls. When basketball fans think of North Carolina in the early 1980s, Michael Jordan often steals the spotlight. But let's talk about the guy who was there first, Sam Perkins, the versatile big man whose college career had defined one of the greatest periods in Tar Heel basketball history. Perkins arrived in Chapel Hill in 1980, a lanky 6'9" forward from New York with a soft touch and basketball IQ beyond his years. From the moment he stepped onto the campus, legendary coach Dean Smith knew he had something special. And boy, was he right. What's remarkable about Perkins' college career is the sheer consistency. He wasn't just good for a season or two, he was stellar for all 4 years. In fact, he's one of only 4 players in North Carolina history to score over 2,000 points and grab 1,000 rebounds. His freshman year, Perkins immediately made an impact, averaging 14.3 points and 7.8 rebounds per game. Remember, this was back when freshmen weren't expected to contribute right away. But Perkins wasn't your typical freshman. He earned ACC Rookie of the Year honors and helped the Tar Heels reach the NCAA championship game where they fell to Indiana. Sophomore year is when things got really interesting. A freshman named Michael Jordan joined the team, and alongside James Worthy, the Tar Heels formed what would become one of college basketball's most famous trios. The 1981-82 season culminated in what every college player dreams of, a national championship. While Jordan hit the game-winning shot against Georgetown, it was Perkins' consistent play throughout the tournament that helped him get there. He averaged 14.3 points and 7.8 rebounds that season, earning all ACC honors. What made Perkins special wasn't flashy dunks or highlight reel blocks. It was his fundamental sound game and remarkable consistency. He could post up, hit mid-range jumpers, and defend multiple positions. Coach Smith said that Perkins never had a bad practice. During his junior and senior years, Perkins continued to improve, averaging 17.6 and 17.8 points respectively. The Tar Heels remained a powerhouse, though, and couldn't quite capture another title. By the time he graduated in 1984, Perkins had established himself as one of the greatest players in North Carolina history. His college accolades were also impressive. 3-time All-American, 3-time All-ACC, and a national championship. He finished his career with 2,145 points and 1,167 rebounds. Beyond the stats, Perkins was known for his calm demeanor on the court. Nothing seemed to rattle him. Dean Smith's system demanded discipline and teamwork, and Perkins embodied those principles perfectly. Perkins' impact on North Carolina basketball extends beyond his playing days. He helped establish the program as a national powerhouse and set the standard for future Tar Heels. His jersey number 41 was retired by the university and cemented his legacy as one of the program's all-time greats. When the Dallas Mavericks selected Sam Perkins with the 4th overall pick in the 1984 NBA draft, they weren't just getting a talented big man, they were adding a cornerstone piece to a franchise on the rise. Perkins joined the Mavericks team that was only 4 years removed from being an expansion franchise. The team was building something special around promising young players like Mark Aguirre, Rolando Blackman, and Derek Harper. Adding Perkins to the mix proved to be a masterstroke by the Mavs front office. As a rookie in the 84-85 season, Perkins immediately showed why he was worthy of the high draft pick. He averaged 11 points and 6 rebounds a game, earning NBA All-Rookie First-Team honors. The 1985-86 season saw Perkins take a significant step forward. His scoring jumped to 16.5 points per game, and he began to establish himself as one of the most reliable frontcourt players in the league. The Mavericks reached their peak during Perkins' tenure in the 87-1988 season. The team won 53 games and made a thrilling playoff run, reaching the Western Conference Finals, where they gave the eventual champion Lakers all they could handle before falling in 7 games. Throughout his run, Perkins was the calming influence, averaging 14.2 points and 8 rebounds in the playoffs. What made Perkins special in Dallas wasn't always visible in the box score. He was a great defensive anchor who could guard multiple positions. His basketball IQ was off the charts, and he rarely made mental mistakes. Teammates valued his steady presence, especially in high-pressure situations. By the late 1980s, the Mavericks' window began to close as the core aged and chemistry issues arose. The 1989-90 season would be Perkins' last in Dallas, as the team decided to move in a different direction. After a solid 6 years with the Mavericks, Perkins signed with the Los Angeles Lakers in 1990 as a free agent. Looking back at his Dallas time, the numbers tell part of the story. He averaged 14.4 points and 8 rebounds across 6 seasons. But what those stats don't capture is how Perkins helped establish a winning culture for a franchise that had been an NBA doormat just years before. After 6 solid seasons with the Dallas Mavericks, Sam Perkins took his talents to Los Angeles in the summer of 1990. He signed with the Lakers as a free agent. Talk about a culture shift. Perkins went from a rising franchise in Dallas to the glitz and glamour of the Lakers, a team still riding the wave of their Showtime era success. When Perkins arrived in LA, the Lakers were in an interesting transition period. Magic Johnson was still the heart and soul of the team, but players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had retired, and the dynasty that dominated the 80s was showing signs of age. The Lakers needed reliable veterans that could complement Magic, and Perkins fit the bill perfectly. His first season in the purple and gold was arguably his best, the 90-91 season. Perkins averaged 13.5 points and 7.4 rebounds, providing a steady presence in the front court alongside veterans like James Worthy and newcomer Terry Teague. What really stood out, though, was how Perkins began to evolve his game. Always a solid mid-range shooter, he started extending his range even further with the Lakers. The Lakers would go on to reach the NBA Finals that year, though they fell to Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls in 5 games. Despite the outcome, Perkins had proved his value on the biggest stage. Then came the shocking news that changed everything. Just before the 91-92 season, Magic Johnson announced his retirement after testing positive for HIV. The announcement sent shockwaves through the NBA and completely altered the trajectory of the Lakers. Suddenly, Perkins and the remaining veterans had to step into larger roles. The 91-92 season saw Perkins continue his solid play, averaging 13.4 points and 7.5 rebounds. But without Magic, the Lakers were not the same team. They still made the playoffs, but were eliminated in the first round by the Portland Trail Blazers. Perkins' final full season with the Lakers saw his numbers remain consistent at 13.7 points and 6 rebounds per game. However, the team was in clear decline. The Lakers missed the playoffs that year for the first time since 1976, signaling the end of an era. Midway through the 93-94 season, the Lakers traded Perkins to the Seattle Supersonics for Benoit Benjamin and Doug Christie. It was a move that signaled the Lakers' commitment to rebuilding, and for Perkins, it was an opportunity to join another contender. When the Seattle Supersonics traded for Sam Perkins midway through the 93-94 season, they knew exactly what they were getting. A versatile veteran big man who could space the floor and provide championship experience. Perkins arrived in Seattle at the age of 32, typically when most big men start to decline. But Big Smooth was never typical. In fact, his game was aging like fine wine. The Sonics, led by coach George Karl, were building something special with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. His impact was immediate. After joining the Sonics during the 93-94 season, Perkins helped the team finish with a spectacular 63-19 record. Unfortunately, they suffered one of the biggest playoff upsets in NBA history, losing to the 8th seed Denver Nuggets in the first round. The 1994-95 season saw Perkins fully embrace his role as a Sonics stretch big man. Coach Karl often used him at center, which was revolutionary at the time. Remember, this was an era when centers were expected to plant themselves in the paint and not hang out at the three-point line. Perkins averaged 11.6 points and 4.5 rebounds that season. The Sonics won 57 games, but again an experienced playoff disappointment, falling to the Lakers in the first round. Then came the magical 95-96 season. The Sonics assembled one of the greatest teams in franchise history, winning a franchise record 64 games. Perkins was brilliant in his role, averaging 11.8 points and 4.6 rebounds while shooting 37.6% from three-point range. The Sonics finally broke through their playoff struggles, advancing all the way to the NBA Finals, where they faced the juggernaut Chicago Bulls, who had won 72 games that season. Though Seattle ultimately lost in 6 games, they gave the Bulls the toughest playoff series that year, and Perkins was solid throughout the finals. The next 2 seasons saw the Sonics remain contenders, though they could not quite return to the finals. Perkins continued his solid play, averaging around 9 points and 4 rebounds while maintaining his three-point threat. Perkins' Seattle tenure came to an end in 1998 when he was traded to the Indiana Pacers. When Sam Perkins joined the Indiana Pacers in 1998 at the age of 37, many thought he was simply there to provide veteran leadership. The Pacers acquired Perkins from Seattle in a trade for Derek McKee, bringing him into a team that was knocking on the championship door. Led by Reggie Miller and coached by Larry Bird, the Pacers were building something special, and Perkins' experience and shooting touch made him an ideal fit for their system. The 98-99 season was shortened by a lockout, but when play resumed, Perkins showed he still had plenty left in the tank. Though his minutes were reduced, his impact remained significant, coming off the bench behind Rick Smits. What made Perkins so valuable to those Pacers teams wasn't his volume scoring, it was his efficiency and basketball intelligence. The Pacers reached the Eastern Conference Finals that season, falling to the Knicks in a hard-fought 6-game series. The 99-2000 season would prove to be the most memorable Perkins Pacers time. At age 38, he continued to be a reliable contributor off the bench, averaging 6.6 points and 3.1 rebounds. The Pacers broke through that season, winning the Eastern Conference and advancing to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history, though they ultimately fell to the Los Angeles Lakers in 6 games. Perkins had helped guide the team to heights they'd never reached before. What's remarkable about Perkins' play during the finals run is how efficiently he adapted his game. At nearly 40 years old, he was still stretching the floor as a center. Even though he had become his signature, still revolutionary for that era. Even against dominant big men like Shaquille O'Neal, Perkins found a way to contribute with his shooting and basketball IQ. The 2000 and 2001 season would be Perkins' last in the NBA. His numbers continued to decline naturally with age, but his efficiency remained impressive. Even in his final season, he shot 35.4% from three-point range. When Perkins retired after the 2000-2001 season at the age of 40, he had accomplished something remarkable, playing 17 seasons in the NBA, reinventing his game multiple times, and remaining efficient until the very end. From North Carolina to Dallas, LA to Seattle, and finally Indiana, Sam Perkins left every team better than he found it. His Pacers years may have been his final chapter, but they were a fitting conclusion to a career defined by consistency, intelligence, and quiet excellence. Today's NBA is filled with big men who can shoot from distance and put the ball on the floor, but Perkins was doing this back when big men were expected to plant themselves in the paint and stay there. So the next time someone asks you about the most impactful players of the 80s and 90s, don't forget to mention Sam Perkins. He might not have his shoe deals, he might not have had highlight reels, but his contribution to how the game evolved is undeniable. Sometimes the smoothest operators are the ones who change the game without you even noticing. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and stay safe.